MSLs work within a team. And once in a while, as you stated in your book, you can find somebody who is very knowledgeable in scientific publication and considered a specialist, and they're also difficult to work with because of the kind of thing they bring to the team. Moving from academia to industry, how has this dynamic changed for you based on your experience?
Oh, I think people are people wherever you work, right? My advice and the reason I was telling that story is that sometimes we don't understand. I think almost no one wakes up in the morning and intends to be a difficult to work with person, right? Like everybody has good reasons in their mind for what they do and how they go and do it. So, it's not on us to judge that, right? But when you do, then you create issues, right? And so just trying to give everyone the feeling of if you open your mind, the difficult person is not as difficult as you think they are. But also, if you yourself are struggling with relationships, maybe you are the difficult person. So how do you, again, take that self-reflection and think like, how is my life going? Am I having a hard time? Okay, why might that be? Or if there's a particular person you're struggling with, it's probably because you have very different ways of approaching potentially the same solution, right? So what are their needs? How are you blocking them getting their needs? Or what are the needs that are not getting met for them that you might be able to help them get met so that they suddenly are able to be a more easy to work with person? So it's all human behavior, whether you're in academia, whether you're in industry, it's humans. And I think I think that's my thing. I'm very positive and very much looking for grace from everybody, right? If you give it to them, you're going to get a lot more positivity if you give it out and give that space.
Good, good. Thank you for sharing that. That's a very great perspective to look at it. I was in a meeting yesterday, and the guest was MSL, and the person clearly stated that, of course, if you're coming from academia, the assumption is that you can interact with people very well as much as people who are in the industry. So, no comments. So you have a different opinion about that based on your looks and what you've said.
Well, a little bit, right? Because I think there are many people who have come from academia into industry, into the MSO role. Anyone who's successful at an MSL role has to be good with people, has to figure it out. So yeah, I think there is this assumption like, oh, you're the lab geek, you can't talk to people, you're an introvert, you belong with the microscope and the confocal and the mice, and like that's where you belong. I think that's baloney, right? I think we all have our range of skill sets, and I think that's where some people who come from academia that thrive in the MSL world, there were maybe the little unicorns in the academic world, or maybe they weren't given an environment to thrive from a human interaction standpoint. It's just sort of the environment you are in can help you grow and evolve. So I think there's a little bit of that. It is a hurdle for someone coming from academia, especially truly bench basic science work, to step into an industry interview and say, yes, I have this very niche, detailed PhD world I've been living in for 15, 20 years, but I can come in and talk to anybody, right? Like, how do you prove that? So it's learning some of those skills to use in your interview, some of the ways to prove that you have transferable emotional skills. It can be done. And I think anyone can make those transitions. So I don't, as you can tell,